Hey, it's Maya here. I'm a brand and short website designer, and in this video I want to chat about SEO. So we'll talk about what SEO is exactly, why it matters for your business, and how you can start using it to get free traffic for your website. Now, when you start saying the word SEO, it's one of those things where people are like, no, I don't want to talk about that, like that's too complicated, I can never understand that. But I want to encourage you that you can learn SEO. It doesn't have to be some confusing abstract thing, and it does take some practice, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to get free traffic for your website. Now, there's lots of tech gurus out there on YouTube who can give you a more complicated answer of what SEO is, but I'm going to keep things simple in this video and just explain it in regular terms as I understand it. Obviously, I can't explain everything there is to know about SEO, but I'm going to talk to you about some major things that I want you to understand. So if that sounds good, stick with me and let's get into the video. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and in a nutshell it has to do with how easy your website is for Google to read and how good of an experience you're offering for your website visitors when they come to your site to find information. Now, it matters how easy your site is for Google to read, because when Google can read your website well and understand what it's about, you have a better chance of ranking in relevant search results when someone is browsing the web, Googling something that has to do with what your business offers and what your website is about. Now, there's a lot that contributes to SEO, and you may have heard people use terms like keywords or user experience. I like to take an approach to SEO that's known as holistic SEO, and this actually isn't my idea. It's a pretty common point of view on SEO, and I was trained in SEO by taking Yoast's all-around SEO course for free, so I learned about holistic SEO from them, and what I'm about to share with you is just me putting into my own words what I learned from Yoast. And if you've never heard of Yoast, they are a company that makes one of the top SEO plugins in the world for WordPress blogs to help you optimize your blog posts so they can rank better on Google. Alright, so back to holistic SEO. Holistic SEO means that you're looking at the big picture when it comes to SEO, and you're focused on creating a quality website that's both easy for Google to read and serves your audience well. So it's not just any one thing that causes your website to rank better on Google, and you're not just doing things to rank, but you're really focused on serving your audience as well. So Yoast says that there's 8 different factors that contribute to the overall SEO health of your website, and those are keyword research, technical SEO, user experience, quality content like your blog posts, social media strategy, mobile optimization, security, and accessibility. So now I want to briefly explain what each of those 8 things are. So the first thing we mentioned was keyword research, and this has to do with picking words and phrases called keywords and key phrases that your target audience might be typing into the Google search bar when they're looking up information related to your business. So, for example, if you're a photographer in San Diego, you might want to target the keyword San Diego photographer, or San Diego wedding photographer, or San Diego bohemian wedding photographer. You see, and then when people are searching for San Diego photographer, hopefully if you've done your SEO right, you have a good chance of coming up in the search results. That's a very simplified explanation, but I hope you're starting to understand why you want to pick certain keywords and how that helps your website. And you can include these keywords on your actual website pages, and that's known as on-page SEO. So like you might include some in your homepage, and then you can also include them and target them in your actual blog posts as well. But I'm just doing a basic overview in this video, so we're not going to get too in depth. Let's move on to the second SEO factor, which is technical SEO. Now this one can get a little more complicated, but what I'll say for now is that It has to do with how your site is structured behind the scenes, and having a quality designed website that's strategically designed to provide your visitors with a good experience, and then using plugins like Yoast SEO can help with your technical SEO. Our third SEO factor is user experience, and this has to do with how well your website serves your audience and how easy it is for someone who comes to your website to find what they're looking for quickly. Some of the things that impact your user experience are things like having clear navigation, having clear buttons with calls to action so that people are guided through your website, getting rid of unnecessary details, making sure your website is mobile friendly, which we'll talk more about in a bit, and then also having visual branding that appeals with your target audience. Working with a website designer to make sure that your website is strategically designed will help with a lot of this, but even if you have a great website design, your content SEO, the words on the page, and the content that you put out on your blog will also impact your SEO, and we'll talk about that next. Okay, so SEO factor number 4 is quality content, and this specifically involves things like your blog posts. When you're writing your blog posts, you want to start with doing keyword research so you know what people are searching for, what question they're asking specifically. This is known as search intent. Why are they searching for that keyword? And then you want to answer their question well, and as soon as they land on the blog post, they need to know that they're in the right place. You want your content to be quality and SEO optimized, because when it includes those keywords, Google can tell, like, okay, this blog post is about picking outfits for your couple's photo shoot, or whatever the blog post is about, and so then it can rank you for the keyword. But also, you want it to serve your audience well, because when people click on the blog post, if it's not serving them and they click away as soon as they get on the page, Google's going to notice and they're going to say, oh, people don't like this blog post, let's not rank it as highly anymore. So it also matters that you're truly writing something quality that answers people's questions and that they want to read. And that might sound like a lot of pressure, but as long as you're getting to know the topic that you're writing about and trying your best, your expertise and your knowledge will come through. But again, it just takes practice. Okay, so let's move on to the 5th SEO factor, and that's social media. Now, we're taking a holistic approach to SEO, so this certainly isn't the only thing that impacts it, but if you are very popular on Twitter or Instagram for a certain topic, Google can tell this, and it can impact your website's ranking on Google for that topic as well. And especially with YouTube, I've noticed that if I have a YouTube video on a topic and I have a blog post that goes along with that video as well, if the video starts doing well, then the blog post will rank higher on Google too, so that's pretty cool. Our 6th SEO factor is mobile optimization, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were talking about user experience, but mobile optimization just has to do with how easy your website is to use on your smartphone. So a lot of people are browsing mobile first these days, so if they come to your website and things are out of order, or the web page is blown up way too big or way too small, and it just doesn't function right on their phone, they're going to leave and go somewhere else that operates more easily for them, where they can find the information they need. And I am a Seo website designer. Seo is my website builder of choice, and one thing that I really love about Seo is that you have full freedom over both your desktop and your mobile site design, so you can really custom tailor that mobile experience. You don't have to have your mobile site depend on your desktop and be stuck into a restricting template. Okay, we're almost done. Let's talk about SEO factor number 7, and that's security. That has to do with how safe and secure your website is to be on and browse, and thankfully there's a pretty easy way to fix this. When you publish your website, in the website URL, it will either begin with http:// or https://. And the https means that you have what's called an SSL certificate applied to your website and that it's secure. Now, if that sounds complicated, don't worry. Most website builders out there, including popular ones like Squarespace, Wix, and Showit, will apply your SSL certificate automatically for you for free when you publish your website, and that just makes it so that it's secure. Google wants to provide the best experience it can to its users, so it wants to be pointing them to websites that are secure. If you don't see that HTTPS with the little lock icon on your URL and you just have HTTP, contact your website builder and they should be able to help you fix this. The 8th SEO factor is accessibility, and this has to do with how easy your website is to navigate for someone who is blind or deaf or has other accessibility needs. Now, there's a lot that impacts accessibility, and I don't fully feel capable in explaining it all to you well in such a short time as what we have in this video. So I highly recommend checking out Yoast's all-around SEO course. They'll talk more in depth about accessibility and resources to help you make your website more accessible. Again, I'll put a link to Yoast's course from their Yoast SEO Academy in the description below, and there is a free version. Okay, so those are the 8 SEO factors that I want to talk to you about. So now you know what SEO is, that it's good to look at the big picture and do everything you can to have a quality website overall, and not just pick a few tactics here and there to try to improve your SEO. And you know what 8 factors influence your SEO. One last thing that I want to touch on before I let you go is that when you first start out with SEO, please have realistic expectations. So often I'll have someone say to me, I just published my website, I wanted to be on the front page of Google, but I'm not, what's going on? But SEO is a long-term strategy. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And it takes time for your credibility with Google and all those other factors to really get into place where you're ranking well. And there's also a lot of competition out there, and some people also pay for ads to rank higher on Google. So there's just a lot of things contributing to how you rank there. But it still is possible to rank well organically, which means you rank without paying for ads. So I don't want to discourage you there. Just know that when you start out with SEO, just because you published a blog post doesn't mean you'll be on the front page of Google the next day, but hopefully your SEO should be improving over time. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. I have 2 action steps for you as we close out this video. The first is that I recommend getting an SEO audit if you already have a website. My favorite tool to use for getting an SEO audit is called Ubersuggest. It's a free tool created by Neil Patel, who I mentioned earlier, and it's very user-friendly, very simple, very easy, and all you have to do is type in your domain name and it will give you a report of how your website is doing SEO-wise in terms of a lot of those factors we mentioned earlier, and give you tips for how to fix any issues that are going on. So it's really awesome and it's free. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And then my second action step for you is to learn more about creating great content SEO, like your blog posts. There is a fellow YouTuber named Ashlyn Carter. She's the copywriter behind Ashlyn Writes, and her YouTube channel and her resources on her website have been so helpful to me. And she just recently released a video about the algorithm changes that Google is releasing soon, and how you can improve your blog post content and your website to make sure that you'll still be able to rank well on Google moving forward. So I highly recommend checking out that video and improving your blog posts and your website as needed. And I'll put a link to that video in the description below as well. Okay, so that's all I have to share with you right now. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and you can go ahead and click that subscribe button below. I share design, productivity, and other business tips for creative entrepreneurs here on this channel every Tuesday. Go ahead and take action on those steps I shared about getting your free SEO audit from Ubersuggest and learning more about content SEO from Ashlyn Writes. You got this. I know you can do it, and I'll see you next time.